You.
Okay, my speech is called High Prices, Empty Pockets. Who here can afford to go on that vacation to Disney World or buy that new car you've had your eye on? Who here can even afford to think about money? If you are like me or any other member of society that earn a low to middle income, then I can guarantee you feel the stress of increasing living costs. With the prices of food items rising and gas prices fluctuating, it becomes harder and harder just to afford the necessities. Luxuries are no longer an option. The Department of Human Services and Family Studies makes it clear that the cost of living has surpassed the average income and consumers are having a hard time maintaining a budget. In a preview of Evan Esker's book, 20,000 Quips and Quotes, he writes, the easiest way to figure out the cost of living is to take your income and add 10%. Two influential expenditures that affect an individual on the consumer level are food and fuel. My goal for the remainder of our time together is to broaden your knowledge on what is causing these price increases and who is affected the most. Most of you have probably gone into the grocery store with a grocery list such as this one. It has milk, bread, chicken, green beans, cereal, eggs, and cheese. And a budget such as this. You may have ended up leaving the store over budget or a few items short on your list. You may be thinking that the products you need are just too darn expensive. You are exactly right. The cost of grocery and staple items is rising. I'm going to tell you why they're costing us so much. According to the USDA Consumer Price Index, food prices increased 4% in 2007, 4.5% in 2008, and are expected to increase 7% in 2009. Channel ABC7 News says this is the largest price increase in 18 years, with fruits and vegetables at the top of the list. Why is the value of food continuing to increase? There are three important reasons why. Number one, feed costs are higher for chicken, hogs, and cattle. The U.S. Department of Agriculture stated that corn, soybean, and wheat prices all reached 10-year highs during the 2006-2007 crop years. As you may or may not know, these are the main ingredients in animal feed. Corn prices also increased because of their use in biodiesel fuel. Ethanol is produced from corn and used to make this fuel. Number two, there is a higher demand from other nations such as China and India. In accordance with international food policy research, the gradual change in diet among newly prosperous populations is the most important factor in the rise of global foods. They have specifically seen increases in processed foods sold in foreign countries. Processed foods are more costly because of production and labor fees. And lastly, food prices are escalating because of the cost of energy. They have raised the prices on items that farmers need to plant, grow, and harvest a crop. Farmers are paying twice as much for diesel to run their machinery than 2 years ago. High energy prices have made the transporting, manufacturing, storing, and distributing food we eat more expensive, according to the American Soybean Association. Fertilizer, which uses energy to produce, has quadrupled in price. And as I briefly mentioned earlier, ethanol from corn is used in the production of biofuel. which in turn makes us pay more prices for corn, higher prices for corn. Now you know why food is draining your money. Let's talk about gas. How many of you pulled up to the pump, paid the usual amount to fill up your tank, only to realize that the usual amount you have been paying barely gets you back and forth to work? High gas prices are leaving us with little or no money left in our pockets. As stated by the Energy Information Administration, the average price of regular gas is expected to remain greater than $4 until the fourth quarter of 2009. We all need transportation to get back and forth to work, and we all need to work in order to make money for those expensive groceries. A car is more likely the mode of transportation that most Americans are using, so why does it cost so much? I'll tell you why. Mainly, the cost of crude oil, which is the main product in fuel, influence the prices we pay at the pump. It's estimated by EIA that the price of crude oil is to average $127 a gallon by the end of 2008 and $131 a gallon in 2009. With high crude oil prices, the average regular gasoline will be about $3.84 a gallon. This is more than $1 higher than last year. Secondly, oil consumption is growing. When crude oil supplies get smaller and smaller due to higher demand, it raises the price. EIA says that the strong demand for gasoline is putting pressure on available supplies. It is about supply and demand. When there is a shortage of crude oil and a high demand for gasoline, prices are going to surge. Seasonal demand is also a factor. Have you ever wondered why gasoline is more expensive when you're planning your summer vacation? Prices rise in the spring and tend to peak in the late summer when more driving occurs. The EIA also says that good weather and vacations cause the demand for gasoline in the summer to go up by 5%. Food and fuel, two expenses that hit our wallets hard. You should be familiar with these two expenditures and what causes them to climb. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about who is affected most by these expenses. It is proving to be a hard task for families with children, especially in the low income bracket, to make ends meet. Most families' incomes are not keeping up with the rising cost of necessities. According to a graph by the Bureau of Labor Statistics of wage and price trends for 2007-2008, average hourly earnings are declining and consumer prices are rising. Furthermore, low-income families are affected more than upper-income families. This makes sense because high-income families usually have an option. They can adjust by buying the cheaper foods, eating out less, or purchasing fuel-efficient cars. Lower-income families already buy the cheaper foods because they usually do not have an option. They spend about 1/3 of their income on food and 10% on gasoline, which is more than the richer families. Now you've heard some very good reasons why all of your money seems to be gradually disappearing. And if you make a low income, you could be feeling the pinch. Americans go through life day by day, accepting and coping with the rising demands of their economy, having little or no say, just paying the extra money to get by. I don't know if you've noticed, but it is having a great effect on Americans and their families. You may not be able to change it, but now you are aware of why it is happening. I've found that no matter how hard things get, people keep on going, even if it means giving up their luxuries or asking for a little bit of assistance. I think the American writer Ken Hubbard says it best. I haven't heard of anybody who wants to stop living on the account of the cost. Thank you.